Yo, what's up guys? Teacherpaul over here, and today we are traveling to Sweden. This video is brought to you by Pietra J, who is a member here on the channel, and she suggested Sweden. Now, she said that this is pretty accurate, so we're gonna enjoy it together, learn a little bit of history, economy, culture, geography, and it's gonna be so cool. I hope you guys embark on this virtual journey with us. But before we start, let me greet you in your language because I don't know where you're watching from. So let's do this the only way I know how to, with all the languages that I possibly can. Solamites B, olá, tudo bem, que tal? Bonjour, ça va, ciao a tutti, tutte posse, guten Tag, wie geht's, moin moin, handelt lecker, apakabar, Indonesia, kamusta, Filipinas, hallo, halloa, salam cześć, jak się masz? Annyeonghaseyo, Daimingo, Ni hao, Chungo, Dobar dan, Merhaba, Marhaban, Namaste, Namaskar, Zdravstvuyte, Privet sem, Ahoy, Yasu, Shalom, Sia, Junapot, Zdravo, Zdraveti, Suati, Sin Chao, Sau, Bona Lumela, Konnichiwa, Beishapa, Buna, Zveki, Pershendeiche, Barev Dez, Hey, and howdy, y'all. Yeehaw, as Victor said earlier on today. Oh, I really like greeting you guys with that beat. I hope all your languages are there though. Let's go. Sweden. History, geography, economy, and culture. Let's learn a little bit about them.
About things we've gone through.
That is beautiful already. Look at that. Wow.
Now it's history.
I love the soundtrack. Nice pick.
And that's what you've done too. Nothing more to say. No more race to play. The winner takes it all.
That is beautiful. Look at that.
Beside the victory, that's her destiny.
Wow. Is it like a round building?
It lies in the heart of Scandinavia, a land of forests and lakes, farms and industry, and cities steeped in history. Where once warriors and raiders exported their terror, now only peace radiates from here.
Wow.
A land of liberty, innovation and art, it influences the world like no other small population country does. And what is this country? It could only be Sweden.
That's nice. Sweden.
Sweden is a country that is the home of the North Germanic people of the same name, the Swedes, and occupies the central part of Scandinavia in northern Europe. Germanic tribes have been living in Scandinavia as far back as written sources go, with the first mention of the Swedes as the Swiones by the Roman historian Tacitus in 98 AD. The word for this country used by most languages in some variant or other, Sweden, is thought to come from the Proto-Norse Swiones, meaning one's own, referring to one's own Germanic tribe.
In Portuguese, we call this Suécia.
But the Swedes themselves call their own country Sverige, a name first recorded
Sverige
as Sverige in the earliest of all English written works, Beowulf. It literally means realm of the Swedes.
Nice.
The most famous part of their history took place between the 8th and 11th centuries, the Viking Age, denoted by a fierce warrior culture that expanded across Europe through the development of the most advanced ships of that time. Whereas the Norwegian and Danish Vikings expanded west to terrorize Britain and France,
Is that like a boat, a sailing boat?
The Swedes went east
sailing
across
ship?
the Baltic and along the main rivers of what is now Poland, European Russia, and Ukraine to the Black Sea, where they traded with the Byzantines. The Swedish Vikings were known as the Rus, and those that settled in the east founded dynasties, one of which was believed to have been the Kievan Rus, and the word Russia comes from this line.
Okay.
As to when Sweden finally became a united state, that is unclear from the records, but it is believed to be at the latest in the 10th century. The nation abandoned the old Norse gods in 1050, becoming officially Christian in that year. But the old gods still live on in our English days of the week, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday being named after Odin, Thor and Frigga.
Okay.
In the early 14th century, the Swedish and Norwegian crowns were united, and then joined to Denmark's at the end of that century in what became known as the Kalmar Union. For another century or so after that, all of Scandinavia was under one monarch. But Sweden rebelled in 1523 under Gustav I, who also resisted the influence of the Germanic states through the Hanseatic League that hitherto had dominated the Baltic. In so asserting Swedish political and economic independence, Gustav is regarded as the founder of the modern Swedish nation. With its new independence, Sweden then began to assert itself as the master of Scandinavia and the Baltic, adding many lands to its empire and reaching a zenith in the middle of the 17th century, third only to Russia and Spain in power in Europe at that time.
Wow.
But such military expansion came at a huge cost economically, and over the next century and a half, with other powers conniving to rein in the upstart nation, Sweden lost much territory, holding only to that core which forms their borders today. Perhaps so tired of 2 centuries of almost constant war, Sweden then changed policy and became neutral in every European conflict since the Napoleonic Wars. 1814 was the last time Sweden was at war,
Wow.
a record unbeaten in Europe, longer even than that of legendary neutral Switzerland. Although many would argue that Swedish neutrality in both world wars was questionable, with help to Germany being provided each time, no doubt under the threat of invasion otherwise. Post-war Sweden has remained mostly neutral, refusing to join NATO, and only joining the European Union in 1995 after a close referendum. It did not join the euro and has so retained the krona as its own currency. That is not to say it is not active on the international scene. Indeed, Sweden has often acted as a peace broker in various international conflicts, leveraging its renowned status as a neutral power. Today, Sweden is a constitutional monarchy with the head of state being Carl Gustaf XVI.
You know, I did not know that. To be honest, I used to hate history when I was in school. um, History and geography were the actually geography I liked, but history was something that I did not like. So this is so educational. This is so nice. So there's a king in Sweden. I know it's gonna sound a little bit ignorant, but I had no idea.
Occupying only a ceremonial role with no political power. Real legislative power is in the single national 349-member parliament, the Riksdag, elected every 4 years through a system of proportional representation.
There you go. It's like in Brazil. You guys, I bet you guys don't know that Brazil has a royal family, right? We have our president, who is kind of like cuckoo, but we also have the royal family, and many Brazilians don't even know that either. They don't have any power, they don't have any recognition, but we do have the royal family.
While Sweden has no federal structure like the USA, Canada or Germany, local counties and municipalities are provided with considerable autonomy from the central government by Sweden's constitution, and in fact make up the majority of the public sector.
Okay, wow.
For 100 years, the centre-left Social Democratic Party has been the most dominant voice in Swedish party politics, and this is no surprise as Sweden's extensive and widely known welfare state developed under this dominance. Coalitions are the norm, however, in a country that has between 5 and 8 active parties vying for control, with none getting an overall majority since the 1960s. If you don't count Russia, Sweden is the tallest country in Europe, spanning almost 14 degrees of latitude, from 55 to 69 degrees north, and as a result experiences 4 distinct climate zones.
Wow.
If you travelled the 2,000 kilometers by road from the southernmost to northernmost tips, it would take you over 20 hours. By comparison, the maximum east-west distance is only 600 kilometers and would take you just under 6.5 hours to travel.
Wait a second. You can travel the whole country in 20 hours and go through 4 different temperatures?
Sweden's total land area is just under 500,000 square kilometers, which ranks it 55th largest in the world. The highest and lowest points are 2,097 meters above and minus 2.4 meters below sea level. Most of its coastline is within the Baltic Sea, with the part facing Finland known as the Gulf of Bothnia.
Okay.
A comparatively small stretch faces west into the portions of the North Sea around Denmark known as Skagerrak and Kattegat. In terms of land borders, Norway's dominates, stretching for most of the country's length along its western side. A smaller land border is with Finland in the northeast, while the far southwest faces Denmark along the Øresund Strait. If we look at Sweden's climate zones and biomes, they roughly follow the lines of latitude, with the far northwest of the country experiencing a mix of alpine and arctic tundra, while subarctic boreal forest, or taiga, dominates the upper two-thirds of the country. In these two northern zones,
That's what makes the landscapes so beautiful, because there are like 2 different types of...
winters are severe, while summers are warm in the taiga but cool in the tundra. Further south, a sizable band of continental climate exists where winters are less severe and the summers are a little warmer. The natural biome of this band was mixed broadleaf and coniferous forests, but is today largely given over to agriculture. Unlike the rest of the country, the southernmost part is unshielded from moderating Atlantic westerly winds by the mountains bordering Norway, and so experiences an oceanic climate where winters are mild and summers warm. The natural biome here was temperate broadleaf forest, but like with the continental zone, agriculture dominates here today. Sweden has a population of over 10 million people today, ranked 89th in the world, with the...
Whoa. The whole country has 10 million people? Man. I mean, it's a small population, as he mentioned in the video. But the whole... I mean, we know Sweden as... as he said, a country that has a reputation of the best in a lot of different things, and it's so impressive because they're a very small country. For me, this is so like the whole country is 10 million, because where I come from, my state actually has, I think, 11 million people in my state. This is so awesome.
The vast majority of them living in the
But then my country doesn't have a good reputation.
bottom third of the country. 1/3 of Swedes live in the 3 largest cities, the capital Stockholm, the main port and industrial centre of Gothenburg, and the southern city of Malmö, where a rail and road bridge tunnel connects the city with Denmark's capital Copenhagen.
Whoa.
Sweden's own capital, Stockholm, is about 1/3 of the way up the Baltic coast and is notable for lying in an archipelago of thousands of islands. 85% of the population live in urban areas. The vast majority of the population are ethnic Swedes, with ethnic Finns making up the largest minority at just under 500,000. The indigenous reindeer herding Sami people of the north are a recognized minority also.
Okay.
In the last decade, a large number of immigrants from the Middle East were granted asylum and now comprise almost 1/3 The Swedish language belongs to the North Germanic branch of Indo-European languages that includes Norwegian, Danish, Icelandic, and Faroese.
I don't know if I'm wrong, but when we were here live, Pietra and Sarah, they said that they could understand each other. So that's the languages are very similar, right?
Swedes, Norwegians, and Danes can understand each other's written languages.
Oh, he just said it. I spoke too soon. Let me go back just 1 second.
Israel and Faroese. Swedes, Norwegians, and Danes can understand each other's written languages relatively easily, and by and large the spoken languages also.
Wow.
But in the latter case, this may depend upon the dialect spoken, which varies considerably from the south in Scania to the main population areas around Stockholm.
But how similar is it? I want to know in the comments. How similar is it? Is it like American English and British English, or is it like Portuguese and Spanish? You know, or like Dutch and Afrikaans. How similar is it? I want to know that is so. Or like Malay and Indonesian Bahasa.
And yes, it is true, most Swedes are blondes, and with neighbouring Finland, Sweden has the highest proportion of people with light hair in the world. Considering how successful Sweden is in its economic and global influence, as we'll see shortly, well, I think we should start questioning the accuracy of those jokes about blondes. Sweden's flag is one of the most recognisable in the world, having an offset cross which represents Christianity in common with all Nordic countries, and in the colours of light blue and gold.
Yeah.
These colours have been associated with the country since medieval times and also dominate the coat of arms. The three crowns are the symbol most commonly associated with the Swedish state, appearing on government stationery, buildings, and in military insignia. Sweden did not join the euro and so retained its currency of the krona, a word in common with the Danish and Norwegian currencies, which simply means crown.
Okay.
It dates back to an earlier monetary union with Denmark and Norway that ended in 1914.
But how strong is it? Is it like the dollar, or because I know the British pound is like, it's kind of like the strongest currency if you don't count the, what is that? There are like at least three stronger currency, but which isn't widely known.
Sweden's economy is the 16th largest in the world by GDP, and its highly diversified nature is fairly typical of the developed world. It is export-oriented in the same way that Germany, Japan and South Korea are, with a strong manufacturing sector, but differs in that it also has sizable exports derived from locally sourced primary industries such as mining, fishing and wood. It is home to many world-famous brands with global reach, including IKEA, Volvo, Spotify, H&M, Ericsson, Saab, Scania and Sandvik. And in general, it's...
Yeah, I knew IKEA. Volvo, I don't think I knew. Ericsson, I think I knew about that. But Spotify, I had no idea. And the other ones I don't really know.
The economy is dominated by privately owned larger corporations. Although in recent decades...
But it's funny, whenever I go to IKEA to buy something, I try to read it and I'm like, oh, I can't read this because they're all in Swedish.
Many innovative startups have arisen here. It ranked as #1 best place in the world for doing business by Forbes magazine in 2017.
Oh, so nice.
Like all Scandinavian countries, Sweden has embraced the Nordic model of a large welfare state, which admittedly comes at the price of high taxation. The total amount of taxes paid by an average income worker, whether through income tax, sales tax or otherwise, is about 50%, and ranks 9th highest in the world. In the past this has been much higher, but with a struggling economy in the 1980s, reforms were introduced in 1990 that eased the overall tax burden.
Wow.
Personal freedom and liberalism are and always have been the hallmark of Swedish culture. Unlike almost all other European nations during the medieval period, Sweden never adopted the feudal system, which otherwise condemned the peasantry to a life only one step above slavery, and so private ownership of land and property by the majority has always existed. In the present day, this approach toward liberty is expressed in many ways, from the rise of the Pirate Party, which advocates less restrictive copyright laws, early relaxation of
I like the copyright laws.
of laws concerning sexually explicit material, to one of only a handful of countries that did not impose a lockdown or quarantine during the coronavirus outbreak of 2020. In the 2019 edition of the Human Freedom Index by the Cato Institute, Sweden ranked as #1 in the world for personal freedom. Sweden's influence around the world is not just through its well-known corporations. Culturally, Sweden has produced many influences in art, science and music throughout its history.
Yeah.
The botanist Carl Linnaeus developed the system of plant and animal species categorization that is used globally today. Alfred Nobel, the chemist who invented modern explosives, saw an early obituary of himself that was critical of him profiting from his discovery being used in warfare, and so feeling guilt, used the proceeds of his fortunes after his death to benefit future generations through the foundation of the Nobel Prize system.
Yeah.
In more
I didn't know he was from Sweden. I know this popular group that's coming up.
recent times, the Swedish pop group ABBA took the world by storm in the 1970s and are second only to the Beatles in terms of global album sales by a musical group.
Whoa.
Sweden's global
They're second only to the Beatles?
reach overall is really rather astonishing considering its relatively tiny population, compared to giants such as the United States or China.
Yeah.
So if we should look to somewhere for inspiration on how to improve our own systems or enrich our own lives, then perhaps the first stop should be that tall country in the heart of Scandinavia. And that's Sweden.
Wow.
I hope you enjoyed this whirlwind tour of that country in this new series about nations around the world. If you did, then please like and share this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, especially if you're from this country, and if I missed out anything that you feel is important.
This is a very well made video. That is so nice. Thank you for sending this in, Pietra.
If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, then please click on the subscribe button so you don't miss future episodes. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Wow. Guys, I hope you enjoyed knowing more about Sweden. And yeah, this was Travel Tuesdays. Let me know where we should travel to next week. What did you guys think of Sweden? It's funny because I have traveled to many countries here in Europe, but I haven't been to Sweden yet. I haven't been to Sweden. I haven't been to Denmark. I haven't been to Germany. I have been to Germany. What am I saying? I haven't been to Poland. Yeah, there are a few countries that I need to visit after lockdown lifts. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really enjoyed knowing more about this country, where you're from, Pietra. And hey, I hope you guys, stick around for tomorrow's video. Tomorrow we're doing a dance video. So hope you guys enjoy that as well. I'll see you guys soon. Peace out. Keep it real. Bye-bye. Take care now.